So, if Trump was at an Epstein residence, that means that he lied. He lied the entire time. He said that he had cut ties with Epstein and that he was a creep. I believe. And this is not just MAGA. Let me be clear. This is not just MAGA. He also implicates Hillary Clinton in an affair with another lawyer. So this is not just MAGA, okay? And so for people who say, oh, it's a Democratic hoax, for them, that takes Hillary Clinton out. If that rabbit hole's explored. You think that the Democrats would sacrifice Hillary Clinton to take out Trump? Do you think they would be allowed to do that? All week long, this Epstein stuff has sort of been trickling out. Dropsite has been posting a lot of different smaller stories. Most people probably aren't very interested in them. Dropsite does have very good access to leakages. They've actually linked to a few Dropboxes as well. But so here, these are all kind of not low level, but around the world, baby stories, whatnot, and what have you. That has been going on all week, if you guys haven't noticed. This morning, this is the first tranche of emails that were released by Oversight Dems. Now, I understand when you get stuff from Oversight Dems, it can be taken sometimes with a bit of a grain of salt. I get it. But so here's where it starts. Now, here's the 3 emails. These are some emails that happened between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine in the first email. In the second email, that is journalist Michael Wolff writing to Epstein. And in the third email, that is Epstein writing back to Michael Wolff. These emails confirm that Trump was definitely involved with Epstein in some capacity, but that he hasn't barked. He says, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. This victim right here, this redacted victim, is Virginia Giuffre. She spent hours at my house with him, but he has never once been mentioned. Read this commentary from Michael Wolff. It's incredibly damning. He says, I think you should let him, Trump, hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him and generate a debt. Very interesting that Michael Wolff is a journalist. These two are pretty freely talking about blackmailing the potential president of the United States. At that point, he hadn't been elected yet. In 2019, Jeffrey Epstein writes to Michael Wolff. He says, Virginia Giuffre, Mar-a-Lago. Trump said he asked me to resign, but I was never a member. Of course he knew about the girls, because he asked Ghislaine to stop. So Jeffrey Epstein was never a member of Mar-a-Lago, which is something that I think Trump has stated more than once, and that he had ejected him from the club. That doesn't seem like it happened, and we'll get into that a little bit more. This is another really interesting email from Michael Wolff. This is 2016, again, right before the presidential election in which Trump won. There's an opportunity to come forward this week and talk about Trump in such a way that could garner you great sympathy and help finish him. Interested? Are we kind of understanding why Jeffrey Epstein died? Or what had to be removed from the situation, why Trump has called the Epstein files a Democratic hoax. We knew this was ridiculous when he did Bindergate. If you guys remember when they took a select dozen or so influencers and gave them binders at the White House. And then I think that they expected that to kind of quiet things down. It's just been an absolute farce since then, an absolute charade. It's so insulting. I was never an Epstein truther. I'm not. It gives me the ick. I think it's a little too dark for me. So I don't kind of dive into the rabbit holes. And I've talked about this before. I don't usually dive into the rabbit holes of the trafficking aspect and the island itself. But I am incredibly interested in who was blackmailed and what world leaders. And we are posting them on the large Twitter account. But if you look, he implicates tons of world leaders. Presidents of Mongolia, leaders of India. He talks about Peter Thiel. He talks about Gordon Brown, prior prime minister of the United Kingdom of Britain. There's a whole email exchange regarding Prince Andrew, an entire email exchange. Epstein even jokes about Trump and Andrew being together at one point and laughs and says, haha, those two, look at those two hanging out together. They're both connected by Virginia Giuffre. As you know, Prince Andrew was Virginia Giuffre's abuser who had to give a settlement to her. I believe it's undisclosed to this day. Don't forget, somebody knew this was coming because either last week or the week before, Prince Andrew was stripped of all of his titles and everything. That was recently in the news. You go through these emails, they talk about Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre. They talk about Prince Andrew having an illegitimate child. Talk about Prince Andrew's wife having to take a one-way ticket to South Africa. She took a bribe to do so or something. It's just madness. And the people that are implicated in this are people from the Obama administration. This is not just MAGA. Let me be clear. This is not just MAGA. He also implicates Hillary Clinton in an affair with another lawyer. So this is not just MAGA, okay? And so for people who say, oh, it's a Democratic hoax, for them, that takes Hillary Clinton out. If that rabbit hole's explored. You think that the Democrats would sacrifice Hillary Clinton to take out Trump? Do you think they would be allowed to do that? No. Bill Clinton was mentioned in the emails. Epstein said he was never at the island. I hate Bill Clinton too. Fuck Bill Clinton. Mostly for Kosovo. So I probably hate Bill Clinton more than I don't even hate Trump. This is just bizarre. But that's what the email said. Why would he implicate Hillary Clinton and then lie to keep Bill Clinton safe? Especially right now when Bill Clinton has no power. Hillary Clinton has more power than Trump, than Bill Clinton, and Trump has more power than both of them. So I don't know. Again, I'm going to reiterate that I'm not a big Epstein truther. I don't like to do human trafficking stuff. It gives me the ick and it scares me. It really does. It freaks me out. It's too dark. Here's the smoking gun for what most people are going to consider the smoking gun. I would think this is an email from one of the Epstein victims to Epstein. The exchange is about can we go to dinner on this date? We'll be in Paris. Are you still in Paris? He says, you're welcome at my house as always, and more privately. She says, very well, just send me the address again and code to the door so I can get to the second floor and send me the day and time. Thanks. And he gives her the code for the gate. She replies, I'm at the door, but I will wait for my time. I don't want to come early and find Trump in your house. Why is this a smoking gun? This email was sent in 2017. The email's from 2017. So if Trump was at an Epstein residence, that means that he lied. He lied the entire time. He said that he had cut ties with Epstein and that he was a creep. I believe that's what Caroline Levitt said, that he was a pedophile and a creep. Caroline Levitt, just some advice to you is stop calling Epstein a pedophile and a creep. Because this is not going to go the way you think it is. I would stop calling Epstein a pedophile and a creep because your boss, Anyway, here's a clip put together by one of the greatest accounts on Twitter, especially right now, Gen X Girl. Please follow her if you don't. A fantastic investigative journalist. But this is a clip that I stole from her.
Really wanted to talk to you about the fact Mike Johnson is now reopening the House, which means guess what's back on the docket? The Epstein files.
So what will happen theoretically is that the House will vote to subpoena the Epstein file. Or files. Theoretically, it is everything that exists within the United States government on Jeffrey Epstein.
Breaking, just coming through the wire right now. House effort to force a vote on compelling the Justice Department to release the Epstein files has now reached the required 218 signatures. The petition only crossed the threshold after Speaker Mike Johnson delayed the swearing in of a newly elected Democrat, Adelita Grijalva, for 7 weeks. She became the final signer when she was sworn in. Other news that came out today. the Trump administration contacted Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace to try to get them to change their votes or their signatures, withdraw their signatures from the petition. Guys, remember, 4 Republicans were on the petition. We had Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert. Trump has already declared Thomas Massie persona non grata. So we can't ask him to change his signature. All of MAGA is going after Marjorie Taylor Greene, so he can't ask her to change her signature. So he reaches out to Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace. But what he forgets is why the two of them have to sign this petition. Nancy Mace has to sign this petition because sexual assault, human trafficking is a policy that she stands on. Lauren Boebert, when she was elected, she was part of the QAnon movement. She was QAnon adjacent. She took a lot of grief for that, but she's one of the Save the Children people. She's very big on human trafficking. She cannot take her signature off of this petition. Come to find out, at first they said, oh, it was just a phone call. He called Laura to talk to her about it. Senior White House and Justice Department officials met with Representative Lauren Boebert to attempt to get her to withdraw her support for an impending House bill. President Trump called Nancy Mace to get them to get her to withdraw support. Here is what Caroline Leavitt had to say about it: the gaslighting.
Reagan. In transparency, Caroline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room, in the press briefing room.
How is that transparency? That's just good communication, I guess, if you want to be generous. But that's not transparency.
The representatives didn't seek out the administration. The administration sought them out. So what's the transparency?
Yeah, exactly. They didn't go to them and tell them, okay, here are all the files, here's everything. You guys do with it as you will. They went to them to say, actually, we don't really think this is the best idea, but we're talking to you, so I guess that's a good thing. It's total gaslighting.